I wonder if we were to give 10 people that don't do cards or just got into cards and they don't really know about grading, if you put a PSA slab and a Beckett slab, I wonder which one they would say I like better. Just without any bias, you know?
Hey everybody, welcome. It is the Meelypod Hobby Podcast once again alongside Jameel Muhammad, the man, the myth, the legend himself. I am Jeff Cardozo and we are here to talk about anything in the world of those little trading card things that you talk about, and of course sports as well, and from a global impact with the Olympics. Of course, it was just Valentine's Day, so happy late Valentine's Day to everybody. Hopefully you wrote out the Sappy cards like Jameel did to Meredith and get to celebrate the first Valentine's Day with the little one.
Yeah.
And speaking of Sappy, we've got a guy named Sappy. He is our guest today from the Texas world.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're like 6'9", so I mean maybe you need to move out there.
Yeah.
Right? Everything's bigger in Texas, but it's been a cool just trip, man. There's a lot going on in the hobby. When in terms of sales, in terms of commotion, in terms of releases, sports are kind of at that pinnacle right now in a lot of ways, right? We just finished football, but baseball is on the horizon. NBA's looking good for once. The All-Star game was competitive. You know, we're not going to talk too much about the Saturday festivities, the dunk contest, 3-point. Nobody really cares about that anymore.
Yeah.
But the All-Star game looked really competitive. It was good. There's a lot of trash talking and fun stuff going on. So it's fun to see all the things happening, you know, with hockey and we got all these things going on, the Olympics, like you said, and cards is at the center of it. So.
Well, and I think the card that's maybe in the center of everything, a card we talked about on the last podcast, and I think there was a little, I don't know if it was a bet, but it was like, all right, well, I think this is going to go for like 10 million or maybe 15 million, all these other things. And I'm just sitting back thinking, like, I just want a card that's like $10,000. And then I can't even think of 15 or now what, 16 million?
Yeah, 16.5 million with buyer's premium, the Pikachu 10 Pop 1 illustrator card, which is crazy. Like to think that a card that was a Pokemon card sold for that much money. Sure, there were some hype elements to it. Sure, there was a lot of marketing behind it. But it still was the only one in the world, and it still sold for that amount. I think it just changes, again, the eyes on high-end cards. We'll talk to Sappy, in the second segment about high-end cards and what he's seeing in the card show market. But, yeah, we're at a place now where when you think of something that's expensive in cards, it's no longer 5 figures. It's no longer 6 figures. You know, we're in 7-figure level cards, and we're seeing more and more that keep selling in the millions, which, to me, is crazy.
But what else is crazy too? You say that it's like the only one in the world. Like, what if that got opened by me that I had no idea what that even was, and I just threw it in a box somewhere? Like, it's just fascinating that some cards come out like that, and then somebody with some type of influence gets it. Like, do you know the history behind the card of like where it started and then evolved through?
There's some provenance on that card and who got it and where it went, and how Logan Paul bought that card as a PSA 10, how he tracked that guy down, how he had to fight to get that card over years, and then they have these videos they made of it. That's a unique thing about the hobby, right?
Yeah.
Like these pieces of cardboard and things that we treasure so much is so much more so when they have the cool stories, right?
Yeah.
I think those sell for more. You see that all the time with auctions and hobbyists and collectors. They just love the story, which is cool. I think there's a backstory to all this and how it was pulled, when it was pulled, how much somebody spent to get it. If they open it out of a pack, did they get it in a random? There's some drama right now with one of the biggest young soccer players out of English Premier League that a guy on Whatnot opened it out of a pack that was a giveaway pack. He pulls a $40,000 card for somebody, and then he says in the live, do I want to change my life or my family's life, or do I want to change your life? Something like along those lines where he then says it, and then he ends his stream and keeps the card, very shady stuff. And then they found out recently that it sold at the London Card Show for 52,000 euros or something like that. So, these things are happening, and as we grow in the hobby, there's going to be nefarious people and motives behind this where, you're not going to live up to what you always say. And like that was an example, again, of the stained Whatnot that we see. So unfortunately, that stuff is happening. Logan Paul made a lot of money. He took $5 million, made it $10 million more in the course of a couple of years. But that's where we're at.
Well, I know it doesn't happen in your world, but your world's about to get busy. Heading up to South Carolina this weekend,
yeah,
right?
So shout out to the Meelypops SC team up there, and we're going to be having our annual card show that we do. When we first started the Upstate Card Show, the goal of it was to just do something fun for the hobby, be about kids, families, collectors, and we've kind of maintained that. And I think as you see all these shows popping up, everyone keeps asking us, why are you not doing it more? And it's like, we just kind of want to stay true to our roots and
Yeah.
have this one show a year. It is a lot of work to put on. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be 200 plus tables, and JSA and CGC are coming. Shout out to CGC for coming and bringing people. They're going to take grading in on site, which you don't always get at card shows, right? It's going to be huge for sports. It's going to be huge for TCG. I love the Carolinas with my heart, basketball. Shout out to Sappy. We're going to have on in a little bit. He loves Jordan. That area is ripe for basketball. Sure. You know what I mean? The people who love Jordan, Zion, Curry. It's just a fun world, being in that. And of course, there's basketball courts right there where we're set up. So the Upstate Card Show, we're looking forward to it. If you can make it out, come see us in Spartanburg. It is February 20th, 21st. It's a Friday. It's a Saturday. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's also incredible people. Like, I find that show is the easiest to deal with people, the nicest people, and the best deals. So Come on out.
That's what it's all about. Well, I've not met this guy, but Jameel tells me that's exactly what Sappy is as well. So anxious to talk to him. We'll take a break and talk to a guy that deals with a lot of high-end stuff. You're not going to want to miss it next on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypop shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokémon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
Jeff and Jameel still hanging out. We told you we had another wonderful guest for you, and now we get the opportunity to bring him. I'm not in this sports card world like you are, where everybody's got cool nicknames and all this stuff's going on. So, I think it's Joseph we're about to talk to, but you know him, and probably the whole world is something else, right?
Yeah, so it's Sappy Sports Cards, or you could call him Sap if you're really cool with him, right?
So I'm not there yet.
You're not there yet. Maybe when we get him on, I'll see if he can bridge into that nickname. We've had some guys on from Texas this past week representing. So we had Lindell last week from Trading Card World, and now we got my guy Sap from Sappy Sports Cards. I see him on the screen. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on here. Honor. I appreciate you guys having me.
Of course. Is it Charlton? Where in Texas is it? What's the city that Sappy's at? Where's it?
So Sappy's is in Carrollton, Texas.
Carrollton, that's right.
But we're like pretty much everywhere around here now. Frisco, downtown, South Lake. I mean, pretty much a 45-mile radius, you can find a shop of ours.
You guys hear that, people? If you're in Texas, you got to find one of Sappy's spots. He's got the spot. Real quick before we get into questions, I got to know you really through just kind of the card circuit, when we were kind of getting our feet wet in the shop world. I know I had started a shop maybe a little bit before you, but then I remember you telling me you're starting to shop. But it all kind of started in the shows, Dallas Card Show, National. We'd see each other at Collectors Con in Tampa when we held those events.
Yep.
We would see each other in these events, and it's been really cool to kind of see the show world grow, right? From like 18, 19, 20, 21 to where it is now, where it's like, shows are everywhere, and they're not just everywhere and lightly attended, they're everywhere and packed to the brim. So it's cool to kind of see, man, right? Like, we've been through this process together, and you've been killing it, brother, and I love seeing what you do at these shows.
And I know you have too. It's we started, so that's how I actually got started back 15, 20 years ago. Is I would go to different shows with just like the small briefcase or a box of cards and hustle. And now it's grown to what it is today, to where if you really wanted to, even probably near you, you could go to a show every weekend.
Yeah.
And it's just I feel like it's breaking records. We just came back from the Cali show out there in Ontario for the West Coast Card Show, and it was a really, really good show too.
you know, this massive name in the space now, and obviously the 45-mile radius. So it's cool because it's like go get sports cards or cards in general and get some barbecue. I mean, that's like perfect.
There you go.
Yeah,
Which
down here for sure.
which you can get in Texas. So you mentioned this like little briefcase, and I can only imagine like that's how it got started, and now with what it's evolved into, like. Where have you gone from that briefcase? Like, as opposed to, is it like a U-Haul truck now and what you're bringing? Like, just all the cases, everything else. Like, how big has it really gotten for you?
That's a good question. So, and I missed this aspect of it because now I'm on the other side of the table. I bring a team of minimum of like 3 or 4, and we're bringing like Pelican cases where we'll bring like 2 to 3 minimum, and then maybe some dig boxes as well. So back then, I would have like a 1 row of graded cards or like a smaller briefcase of graded and raw cards, and I would be doing the one hustling, which I miss that aspect of it because I don't get to do it as much anymore. Especially with how busy shows are right now. You just can't really get out, like leave your table. I mean, Jameel can attest to that.
Sure.
With TCG being so big too, we started bringing Pokemon and One Piece to shows, and they're getting just as busy as sports cards almost.
Yeah, it's I do miss those days, right? Like I had an opportunity, I think a year ago, Sappy, where I went to a small show, and I said to my team, I was like, "Why don't you guys run the shop? I'm just gonna go my Suburban." Back then it was a Pathfinder, it was a lot smaller and condensed. I'm gonna take 6 showcases and all the deal boxes and this stuff. I just want to kind of relive it, and I got to do that for a day show. But I mean, for us now, and we're thankful for. I mean, we're not complaining about this, but when we go to shows, I mean, it's an operation. And again, you talk about the teams you have to bring and the overhead you have to put forth and the energy and then how about the comping, right? Like, because that's constantly changing. And what people don't realize is when they come to shows, like how much work went in on the dealer side. And I think sometimes that gets lost in translation, right? Because dealers, in a way, it shows should, I think, have a little bit more respect to them. I think there's an element to when you come to a dealer who's ready and prepared and priced and, is kind and knows the market and is fair to trade, like there should be some give to that. But we're in a different world now, man. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. And you've been like a show warrior, but you also have the shops going on. And thinking about shows, I want to talk about one specific because it's really changed. I think it's led the market in terms of change, and that's been the Dallas Card Show from COVID to now. During COVID, for those who weren't watching or listening, like this is one of the only shows going on. And so because of that, I think it built this massive, massive following from a national perspective. And now the Dallas Card Show, and shout out to Kyle and those guys, but they have the Dallas Card Show in Chicago now and the Dallas Card Show in Timbuktu, Alaska. I mean, they're doing them everywhere, right? But you've been like a driving force behind that. And this show has become a place where everybody looks at to kind of see what's going on in cards, what's the hub. And I'd like to kind of ask you some questions about that. Like why do you think the Dallas Card Show specifically, I mean, you just mentioned the West Coast Card Show, but that's a West Coast thing and it's not done as often, right? Why do you think the Dallas Card Show has been so successful and why it's so frequent?
Okay, so just to give a little backstory and history of it, I've been setting up with Kyle since he started the small shows in the hotels around here, and I've always worked with him. So one of my goals was, because I love working with Kyle and he does a great job with the Dallas Card Show, was to bring like yourself and bring a lot of people that I know with quality and quantity of inventory to these shows, and it just continue to grow and continue to grow. And like you said, in COVID, when no one was really doing it, Dallas Card Show did it and picked up a lot of steam. And so it seems like the companies that were able to take advantage of that, it really paid off for. And now, and it does happen 6 times a year, and now they're going to different cities. I know they're doing one in Jersey, and a lot of people are excited for that. Twice in Chicago. And then they have their little ones here too. But the reason why I think it's so busy is just because now they know, like every 2 to 3 months, they can come to a big Dallas Card Show where there's going to be thousands of people. The trade night goes until 2, 3, 4. Used to go, I seen people go to trade night there, and then the next morning they'd be like, "Yeah, I went to my room for an hour and now I'm at the show." So it just, the more it seems like, for us, and like I said, you could attest to this. Our shop numbers are pretty crazy right now. When I tell people that, they're like, "All the shops are healthy and they're how close to each other," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's growing at a crazy rate right now that the January Dallas card show, and I called this and I told Kyle, I put it up in a video. I said, I think it's going to be record breaking just because I can kind of feel like more people getting in the hobby. I can feel it through our card
Yeah.
shops. And they usually bring 1,000 extra wristbands to the card show in case they go over them.
Wow.
They ran out of those and they had to get another like 3,500. So they
Holy
broke the
cow.
record plus 4,000 and we felt it in the show. Like if you were carrying something, you couldn't walk through the middle thing. You just had to go. They made you go around. That's how many people were there.
Wow.
And it's just people know that it's happening every 2 to 3 months. And now Lawrence and I, we host in March and in September, we host a high-end trade night. And even that gets so busy that we have to have security, like, hey, 2 in, 1 out, or 2 out, 1 in type of thing. I just think it's getting so big, and because of the steam that they picked up in COVID, and people like you and I, and a lot of quality dealers there. And I like that you said that about dealers. I agree with you 100%. And the people that deal the way that you explained it, super fair, put in a ton of work, have the prices on there, have a wide variety of things, have a team. Yeah, people don't realize sometimes, and they just tend to say, oh, they're so lucky they got that stuff or this or that or that.
Yeah.
How much work we do put into the back of that. And then also, we're not trying to have a one-time customer. We want to be
Right.
customers for life or friends. So we're going to give you guys the attention and what we want. We want that same type of, you know, relationship between any person that comes up to you as far and deals probably don't work out more than they do when a customer comes up or a client or a collector or whatever you want to say, but they had a good experience either way, and that's what I like for them to take away, and I know that you're the same way. And so people that do it the right way, I think do get a lot of business at the shows. And just to go back to what you said, I do think that people are starting to see that a lot more because I
Yeah.
feel it a lot more at the shows. But going back to the Dallas Card Show, it's just I think it's so frequent and people have just caught on to, hey, we can, and it's a nice venue too. That's another
Yeah.
thing.
Great venue.
It's easy. There's good food right there. You can stay in the hotel, and if you don't get a hotel room there's like 4 hotels right next to it. The train nights are every night. The big ones are Friday and Saturday now. So there's a bunch of different things you can do, and you're able to like maybe have a card or two that you're looking for, and you can probably find it more times than not there.
Yeah, for anyone planning to go to the Dallas Card Show in the future too, and you're looking for Sappy and you can't find him in the sea of people, just look for the goatee.
That's
just,
right.
just kind of take
There
a
you
glimpse. Nobody can rival that goatee. It's always jutting out there. Maybe you might get a hair that falls into a card, so you get a little game used goatee as well.
Game used there.
A game used beard, you know what I mean? So that watch, down the line they're going to put that in a card and put that on eBay. So I kind of want to ask you this too, as we're talking a lot about shows. I think sometimes people forget about when we go to shows, what our goals are. Now you could say, all right, our goal is to go and obviously generate revenue. Our goal is to build customer relationships. Do you have a specific goal, like for, let's just use a Dallas Card Show because it's more local to you. It's not as much travel and overhead, I would assume. What is one of the goals that you have when you're at the booth, on the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday? Or do you have goals outside of that? Do you have goals at trade night as a dealer, as a card shop owner? I think people would love to hear kind of what's going through your mind during these shows, because it's so fast paced. People don't realize how much happens, how much things get bought so quickly, who has the money, where they're moving it. But I'd love to kind of, if you could share a little bit. And again, if you didn't keep some of it under wraps and you don't want to share all your goals, I get it. But just something that you kind of have in mind when you're attending these shows.
No, I love that question as well. And I get asked that a lot. And so my goals are I'll have a couple players, and one of my main PCs is Michael Jordan, and his prices are just getting crazy. But
Yeah.
I'll look for like the Jordan, Kobe, Curry, LeBron, and I kind of think in that order. That's about like how like popular and prices going up and
Yeah.
everything else. And, with us being in Dallas, any type of Cooper flag. So it's really time dependent on shows. Football season, I'm looking for certain things. Basketball season, I'm looking for like Cooper flag we're looking at right now. But I'll have a plan, and I will have goals to be like, hey, I want to pick up a certain amount of this guy, or hey, I want to get quarterbacks in the NFL that are starting and have potential to do more in September or August, September,
Yeah.
October. But then I feel like they just get so busy that I'll like get sidetracked to that, and I'm doing so many deals, and then I'll see a card come out. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this was my goal. Let me get that card. But I'll have players or like certain cards or certain products that just came out. Um, of goals that I want to do. I like you, as you know, I like to buy raw and grade or pull myself and grade um through PSA or BGS. And then, there's usually a number that I want to hit per show. And I make it pretty obtainable just based off I go off of like the 12-month of what I do last time this show. And in the last 2 years I've seen and I've talked to a lot of dealers, it just exceeds it. But yeah, I would have like a number trade. There's some items I'll be like, okay, I've had this for a while. Let me trade this and try and get into this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely have goals. As far as trade night, I really like to get my employees to go and experience that because you and we've done it so many times, and by the time our show is done, it's like once we hit the hotel room, I was like, I better not lay down because I won't get up if I lay
Yeah.
down. But I do still go walk the trade night and I'll do deals, but I don't really take all my cards and try and will and deal or set up because now the people that can't either it's get the because it's sold out, can't get the table or for whatever reason, they will set up like on Saturday, the show closes at 6. You'll start seeing people set up at 5 o'clock, which I think 5 or 5:30 is the earliest to let them. And I think that that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
As long as people aren't fighting or like trying to steal or anything like that, because then they get to set up and they can experience what we go through, during the show. But yeah,
Yeah.
those are my goals usually for shows, especially in Dallas. And then, we obtain most of them most of the time. And if they don't, then we shoot it for next show.
Sappy, I'm just sitting here listening in the last 10, 12 minutes, whatever it's been, and I'm fascinated because, you mentioned the high-end stuff. And, I think about just when I started and, it's the 87 tops and, the crap that's not worth anything. But I did find a Joe Montana rookie one day, and I was like, man, this is my coolest card ever, and it's probably like $100.
There you go.
And then now you see like all these cards. You mentioned Cooper Flag. You could probably get one Cooper Flag card that's thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm thinking I've got a Hall of Famer rookie, and you got a guy that you don't even know if he's going to last in the NBA. Like these high-end cards are just crazy. And he shows me a little bit, and I watch videos, and thousands and hundreds of thousands, and all these things that are worth it. Like, is this the norm? Like this high-end business is that's what it's turning into?
It definitely has, and it's so for me, the sooner I could figure out like this doesn't make it doesn't really make sense. So logic kind of you got to throw out the window with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's more based off hype in our industry. Hype will outsell performance at times. And so like it doesn't make sense. Joe Montana is a top 3 of all-time quarterback, right? Cooper Flag just came in, but Cooper Flag's brand new. Montana's been there forever. In the same thing, that Montana rookie has gone up X amount since 3 years ago, even. So I put to give you an example, I put a 1986 Fleer set that I had bought. I put it away, and there was some of the better stuff was graded, mostly 9s, and I bought it a couple years ago or a few years ago, and I didn't look at it, and I had stickers on them. And all of them were like 5 to 6x of those stickers when I brought them out to Burbank. And I was like, I forgot about this set. So even that stuff has gone up high end. But the Cooper Flag, you can right like it happened. It didn't happen as much as Luca because he came out in 2018 and it didn't really hit till 2021. But then his PSA 10 silvers, I'm like, I don't even know. They got to like 8,000 maybe. PSA 10 base were like $2,000. But now they've came back down to earth. But yeah, the high end market is very, very crazy, and you have to pay close attention because even though I said it's mostly hype, performance does when the hype and the performance line up, that's when it can go really crazy.
Yeah, no, and we're seeing that too with Cooper at the beginning of the season, right? He had a lot of hype because everyone was kind of like doubting him, and then all of a sudden this guy's dropping 40.
He's good every night, yeah.
Looking like
He
a
dropped.
dog.
I think he dropped like 49, 34, 32, 27, and 30, 32 now in the last 5.
It's like Jameel at the rec league.
I mean,
back
that's how
in
he
the
used to
day.
do,
There you
dunking
go.
on those jits. Yeah, I mean, you talk a lot about high end sap, and I think that the world of grading and high end kind of go hand in hand for a lot of reasons, protective nature and encapsulation, and of course people wanting the gem mints. You I think have got to be, if not the guy, but one of the top guys in the world when it comes to understanding the ins and outs of grading, but also specifically Beckett grading, because you've seen kind of this world of BGS transfer. The news just recently about Beckett being bought by PSA, which is a statement that we would have thought could ever,
Yeah.
exit our mouths, a few, for the last decade. I think I'd love to kind of hear what your thoughts are on BGS. I know we talk a lot about PSA. Everyone's always focused on PSA or the up and coming so-and-so, but no one really, talks a lot about BGS. And there's so many elements to BGS for me as a dealer, but also a collector. As I look at the cards that are benefit, over the other grading companies, I'd like to kind of get your thoughts on it. And then also, where do you see Beckett grading ushering into these next 5 years? Where do we see Beckett at 2030? Is it around? What do you think? Will PS, there's so many elements to that. So give me some answers on that. And I think for viewers listening to this, take some notes, because this is some knowledge you'll get dropped by Sappy here.
So we started with Beckett, and that's how PSA heard about me, is because I was doing so much grading with just Beckett, and they kind of poached me from Beckett, and I started grading with PSA. But I've always been there in our backyard. That's how I kind of got started. I was in the corporate world still, in the early 2010s, when I first started doing this and taking it more serious, and I would just grade my car. I would just take them to Beckett, and then I started taking my friends' cars to Beckett, charging a little bit more to cover my cost.
Yeah.
I think aesthetically, the Beckett case is the best looking case. Secondary market, obviously PSA is the leader in that. But I like the fact that Beckett shows all four subs, um, gets the auto grade on there, and now PSA does that as well. But um, I just like the look of it. I think a lot of things have changed. Do I think that they dropped the ball? Yeah, big time I do. Back in 2020, 2021, maybe 19-ish, because they used to be the number one secondary market, and then PSA took that
Right.
market over. But I personally, I really like it that they give you all this up. When I'm turning into them, I think it depends on what type of card it is, but I would see, and I do myself, more thicker cards.
Mhm.
People send thicker stock, they send to Beckett rather than PSA. Not to say that they don't send there, but they'll send a lot more to Beckett because they have more experience with the thicker cards. I bet, like, overall, they've graded more thicker cards. Um, and just the look of them. They've tried to change a bunch of different things at Beckett, but obviously the four things are what: centering, corners, surface, and edges that you got to look at, and they do. And then it kind of gives you an idea more of, like, when you look at a PSA card and it's a PSA 7, you're like, oh, why is this PSA 7? To where when you look
Right.
at a Beckett 7.5, you'd be like, okay, there it is. Corner's got a 6.5. Which corner is it? And then you can look and go find out. So I think both companies have definitely, advantages to them when they're going against each other. But I personally really enjoy Beckett. I like it. Their customer service has always been good to us. We're very close with them, and their casing, I think, is very nice looking. I wonder, like, if we were to give 10 people that don't do cards or just got into cards and they don't really know about grading, if you put a PSA slab and a Beckett slab, I wonder which one they would say I like better. Just without any bias, I think Beckett would come out on top on that. But otherwise, yeah, I do think that they have a bright future. And I know PSA purchased SGC, and we're kind of not hearing too much about SGC
Yeah.
anymore. I think it's not like that at all. From what I'm hearing from Beckett, is they're saying all the right things. Um, and they want it to be like PSA and Beckett. They were both at the West Coast Card Show, by the way. And Beckett offers slabbing here. PSA offers slabbing there. That's their home. This is Beckett's
Yeah.
home. But I think from what I'm hearing right now, it should be good. And another thing that's really good is they have the black label BGS 10, which is
Right.
all 10. And then they have the BGS 10 Pristine, which typically sells more than PSA 10. So I think it should go well. I kind of just, trust what they tell me, but we still submit a lot through them. So yeah, I think they're going to be good.
Yeah, good stuff. Speaking of good, I'm a baseball guy, so this question might be a little biased from my end, but I want to get your opinion. You talked about, Jordan and Steph and Kobe and all these guys. So, like, if it was football, baseball, or basketball, I'm somewhat new, getting to hang out with Jameel these last couple of years. I'm getting back into it. But is there one sport that you would say collect more than the others, and maybe a couple of guys like the goats of the world to go try to buy from that specific sport?
I would say basketball. Basketball is consistently because it's such a big market in Asia. Um, I from what I've seen across the board, I would say basketball first, and then football and baseball are about the same to me on the
Okay.
second level. Now, vintage baseball is up there with basketball, I would say, but overall sport, basketball. And then I would try and pick up those four guys that I'd mentioned before: Jordan, Kobe, Curry, and
LeBron.
LeBron. And I say LeBron probably more now because he hasn't really hit that. Those
Yeah.
other three have kind of gone like this, and LeBron's kind of going like this. And so I think LeBron, bang for your buck right now, is a good pickup.
Because it would eventually, once he gets away
I
from
think,
playing, yeah,
yeah. I think
go up
it's
there and
going
people see it.
to, I think it's going to really shoot up there with Kobe and Jordan and stuff. Yeah.
So then, who are those couple of guys? I mean, you mentioned Cooper Flag, so don't say him, but maybe in the last year or two, even a rookie this year, like that. Hey, these guys maybe haven't blown up yet, but they've got the ability to do it. So go try to get some of those guys now.
I've been telling people because I don't know what's going to happen with Ja in Memphis. There's this kid named Cedric Coward.
Mm.
He's averaging like 13, 14 points, and he's kind of going under the radar. His cards are selling pretty decent. I think he's a good pickup because they got rid of Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening with Ja right now, and he's getting a lot of playing time and really showing out on the court. Everybody knows about Con Canopal. He's like outplayed. No one expected this from him. And him and Cooper went at it here in Dallas, and it was I actually it was crazy because I got invited to courtside seats and I
Ooh.
couldn't make the game,
Oh,
and I was like, man, I already told my wife I would watch the kids, so I couldn't get out of that. But then it happened that where Con dropped like 36 and then Cooper dropped 49, and they barely beat us at the end. But I think that this rookie class has a bunch of Jeremiah Fears is good, Derek Queen, VJ Edgecombe. Um, but let me see. I'm trying to think of last year's. That's Wimby. No, that's not Wimby. Is that Steph Castle? Stephon Castle? Yeah,
Yeah.
Stephon Castle. I think he's a great pickup. He just dropped 40 and he's not too expensive right now. Stephon Castle. It's just tough with him because he has Wimby on his team. Um, but I would say Coward would be a good investment, and then maybe Steph Castle right now.
okay.
You know who also
Yeah.
might be in that backcourt with Coward,
Yeah,
right?
Walter
A guy
Clayton.
named Walter Clayton Jr.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
I think he's gonna
Gator,
actually
right here
get
in
to
town.
play. I think he's gonna get to play a lot more now because
Yeah.
John's not playing.
That's
I
right.
like that kid a lot. I mean, he balled out in the playoffs or the college tournament last year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's cool talking, how other people view, because I mean, you're a Houston guy too. Houston and Florida were in the finals last year, and it's unique to see. Anytime I go to Texas, or anytime I'm dealing with people from Texas, it's such a sports rich community. It reminds me a lot of like the Midwest in a way, but different. I grew up in St. Louis and those kinds of things, and I remember that kind of just how everybody was fans there. You get that sense as well in the big cities in Texas, and you also in the South, we get that here, but in Gainesville, it's more of a football thing. You don't see it as much in the other sports, whereas in Dallas, you're getting all these
It's
things.
all
You
of
know
it,
what I
yeah.
mean? Baseball is heavy, between the Houston and the Rangers and these kinds of things. But we're talking about basketball.
Oh,
I didn't even bring up the Cowboys and the Texans. You know what I
It's
mean?
okay
But
if you don't bring them up. I'm not.
but those kinds
I,
of
I
things,
hear it all day, every day. So,
I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you're surrounded by it. But it's cool. I want to kind of just really quick, as you guys are talking about the three big sports, I want to take another turn on that with the high-end market. So I'm going to throw out some things to you, Sappy. Other sports, we have the World Cup next year. You're seeing some unique things in the tennis card market. You're seeing some really unique things in WWE market, specifically pushed by Fanatics Fest. I know we could talk for hours about how that's grown things and how much wrestling has grown on that level. There's the hockey market. Is there a market that you see exterior to the big three? And is there a name or two out of there that you would also say, hey, man, I'm seeing this stuff move like hotcakes at shows?
So I'm gonna give you two, okay? And one is in those three sports, but it's I just started bringing it back out. I'm gonna start with that. It's WNBA.
Mm.
I I had a lot of Caitlin and some Paige Buchers, and I put it away. And I brought it out at the Dallas Card Show because I saw prices starting to shoot up, right? Since then, I've done three shows, that one and the smaller one, and then this West Coast show. I've moved multiple Caitlin Clarks. Um, that's one that I think you should be moving and doing things in right now. But even bigger than that, and possibly bigger than the other three, is soccer.
Yeah.
Because the World Cup is coming here, I can't keep soccer in my inventory. Like every time I buy a card or trade for a card, if it's Messi or Ronaldo, they're definitely gone. But like even like Yamal, Holland, Mbappe, it doesn't really matter because of that. I think that's probably the biggest sport in the world. Um, it's just flying off and we're getting teams here. We actually got England and Argentina in Dallas for the
Ooh.
yeah. So
Sweet.
um, the tickets are crazy. It was on my bucket list, so I'm gonna take my family to Argentina and probably the England game. And then but yeah, man, soccer is really going crazy. All the other ones that you mentioned are very, very, very popular as well. Obviously, hockey. I'm not as big as a hockey guy as most people in the hobby that have shops and stuff, but like I have Gretzky rookies, I have Connor McDavid rookies, Bedard and Crosby, and those don't really. Even though I don't carry a heavy uh, inventory of those guys, they sell pretty well too. And then WWE, which I'm a fan from the card aspect, but I don't really watch it. A lot of my employees and a lot of fans do. That's another one that's just has taken off to the next level. Not to mention like TCG stuff, which
Sure.
is mind blowing for that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we could have a whole other second episode with Sappy on TCG. We had Lindell. I've known him for a long time. You might know Lindell Wilson on the last episode from Trading Card World, but kind of talked about One Piece and Pokemon as well. We can't
Very cool.
even go on. I know we talked about in the first segment, but the Illustrator card just selling for $16.5 million. I mean, that world is such an emerging market, and maybe it kind of lends into this next question here. I love to. We don't get enough love, I think, as card shop owners. I think we kind of have our own internal network. We all kind of are our own emotional support group for one another. But we have our own AA meetings. We get together and talk about what we're going through and helping support one another. But I'd love to kind of talk to you a little bit, shift gears, because you're such a show guy, but you're also such a shop guy now, and you're seeing a lot of things. And you just brought up TCG and the vitality of that and how important it is to have it in shops. How do you you're in Dallas? You're seeing a lot of shops pop up. You're seeing, I mean, you mentioned Lawrence earlier, a good friend of ours. He's doing a lot with card shops across the nation. How do you see card shops evolving in the future? I mean, this is a big kind of thing right now in the world of the hobby.
As far as like growth in around the cities.
Yeah, I think not just that, but like the internal aspect of what the shop has to represent, the community that it has to that bring in, and then also what the shop needs to look like and carry.
Yeah. So I think that's very important. I'll say what a card shop has to represent is a welcoming atmosphere. Definitely welcoming. You got to be fair to everybody. Never judge a book by its cover, or just be kind. Just like be loving. Be a loving human being, like we should be anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then giving great customer service, but then also offering we talked about TCG across the board and then sports across the board up to as much as you can. So like not everyone is lucky enough to have direct accounts or good distributor accounts. So whatever you can do, but try your best to have a good array of choices on both aspects, sports and TCG. And then you just want your card shop looking sleek and always try and clean it as much. I make sure that all our shops are pretty clean. And easy to find, like where somebody's asking for something. Oh, it's all right, bro. Here's where our supplies are. Here's where our dig boxes are. This is where the bigger, singles are in the showcase if you have questions, blah, blah, and then Wax Sports is over here, TCG is over here. The easier it is for the average sports collector to navigate, the better for you, I believe. So I think all those things are very important. And just to represent something that's welcoming, as I want to go to like Sappy Sports Cards,
Yeah.
or wherever the card shop may be. As far as opening I think some people think it's easy to open a shop. It just takes money. That is not the case, and you know this as well. You really have to put a lot of hard work and sweat into it. And once it gets going, and you do things the right way, and you just good to people, I think it'll work out. But just know that if you are trying to start a shop, there is a lot of work ahead of you, and it's an uphill battle. But once you get to the top of that hill, all that work and sweat will pay off, and you'll see what happens.
Yeah. So you brought up something really interesting. You talk about work. How many hours a week, Sappy, on your phone, in the store, curtailing, sourcing? How many hours a week do you actually work?
I mean, you know this, Jameel. It's I couldn't even tell you. It's well over 40 hours a week. We're almost like, unless we're doing family or like I'm doing, some like a devotional or go to church or something with God.
Yeah.
I am working, and unless I'm, even when I play golf, I have my phone up. I'm like, okay, let me check it. Did this get charged? It's like, so like as owners, we're almost always working
Yeah.
to answer that question. And it does get tired. If I told you I never got burnt out, I'd be lying, because I mean 15 to 20 years of doing this. So it's good to be able to separate it, but I would say well over 40 hours a week.
Yeah,
Well
so
over.
it's a good answer. I think he's being modest in that for our listeners. Sap puts in
Yep.
some time for sure. All right, one last thing before we get into our rapid fire segment.
Okay.
What are you noticing, Sappy, with young collectors? Like, what trends are you seeing? Because you go to all the shows and you're seeing a lot of young people with their boxes and their stickers and their and their PayPal accounts and their Venmo accounts and their Cash App accounts. What do you see in trend wise with the younger generation?
So I see that they have, like, don't ever brush off a young collector, because sometimes with the way that they carry themselves being younger, sometimes it's not probably the best for a card show environment, but they're learning quick. The ones that have more etiquette and kind and like,
Yeah,
are like, well, I don't want to say well behaved, but just a good back and forth with you. I think those are the ones that are doing a lot better. Respect there, for both. But I'm seeing like kids man, I don't even know how young I can go. But they'll have thousands and thousands of dollars in their case, and trying to do sales, buying and trading. The trend is going up big time. And you know what I really love seeing, and I've dealt with a few of this in West at the West Coast show in Ontario, is fathers kind of just not really, putting their advice directly into it, but kind of holding the money, making sure everything's going
yeah,
well. I love seeing fathers and sons, or fathers and daughters, and that's another thing. Females getting into this, have seen grown big time, especially like teenage females and older, which I think we need more of in our industry, because
yeah.
they're interested in it. Sometimes they probably get a little overwhelmed or intimidated, because this is a man's world that you're coming into. But I love seeing it, and I've seen growth in both like kids and female collectors.
Love it. Love hearing all that, man. You're
Yep.
doing an amazing job at the shop, and it's so cool to watch people
Appreciate
grow in
that,
the
man.
hobby. As we've also seen, people fall out. People don't. They crash and burn. They don't know what the heck they're doing. They don't listen. They
100%.
they get their heads too big. They try and focus too much on influencing, whatever it might be, right? And so you've done it well. You've balanced it well. And so I think for those listening, make sure you guys go check out Sappy Sports Cards. You want to see him on Whatnot, or maybe it's going to be at the card shows, or he's doing all this stuff. I see you on TikTok with you and your employees battling. You have the LeBron guy, and you're fighting for Jordan. I think it's fun to
Yeah.
watch that stuff.
Yeah.
They probably call you Unc a lot, right? But seeing that kind of stuff I love it. But I got to take you into our last segment, which is the hardest segment of all, my friend. It's the rapid fire segment. I know you've been under the weather, so I don't want to be too hard on you during this rapid fire segment, but it's brought to you by our sponsor, Titan MRI, and we go through just bang, bang, bang questions. I want you to shoot out the first thing that comes to mind, all right? So quick answers, quick responses, and we'll have some fun. So we're with Joe Sappy, the one and only on the Titan MRI rapid fire segment here on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Here we go. First question. Exquisite or flawless?
Exquisite.
I think I knew that answer. All right, Sap. If Beckett came to you and said, we want a 5th subgrade on our labels and we want Sappy to create it, what would you say?
Oh, a 5th subgrade. Man, those 4 cover it all pretty much. Oh, I would do this. I would kind of piggyback off the Mike Baker of the aesthetic of the grade. Like maybe if it's a 9.5, it's like another where instead of like OA, like overall. And then that means like this is like a 8 of the 9.5s. This is like a 9.5 of the 9.5s where there's a certain percentage.
Yeah.
Because they do such a good job of covering everything on the card. That's the only thing I can think of.
Like a plus or a minus maybe system.
Exactly,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah, I like that because not every 9 is a 9, right? I had a quick thought, too, on vintage. What if they had a 5th subgrade for eye appeal, right? Like maybe, I always talk about that, like eye appeal of the card. So
yes.
Take notes, BGS. Sappy and Jameel are up to something here. All right. You may not know all the names, but I'll throw some out there. Tebow, Jack Caglione, Emmitt Smith, Wyatt Langford. There's just a few Gators. You've been to a lot of card shows. Can you remember maybe one of the sickest Gator cards that you've seen in all your travels?
Ooh. All those guys have really good cards. Gators put a ton of great athletes out. I saw a beautiful, being in Dallas, I saw a beautiful, I think it was, I can't remember the exact year. I think it was Exquisite maybe, or it was a Shield Emmitt Smith auto with the blue foil. It was beautiful. That's one that comes to mind. Or, Wyatt Langford, a nice, like, super fractor red Wyatt Langford probably comes to mind because he plays here for us, Rangers. He's a beast.
Yeah, Texas Rangers.
He's a beast, yeah.
He's actually from this area, too, in near Gainesville, so it's kind of like everyone knows him from growing up in this area, too, which is really cool.
Sure.
And he's a good dude. So, all right, cool. Sappy's seen some cool Gator cards. That Emmitt might have been game used, too, probably, right?
Yeah, I know it was. It was older, so yeah, it was. Yeah, dude. It was auto, too. Perfect auto. I can see the card right now. I haven't thought of that card in a while, too. So cool.
Yeah, those are that transfer between Gainesville and Dallas, man. You see some cool stuff with Emmitt things. So, all right, next question. A little controversial here. Will SGC exist in 5 years?
I think it would exist at a less capacity as what it's doing right now. So
Which
like
is not
it's
much.
gonna be, yeah, exactly. I think it will still be there, but much less. Like not. I guess you can't get much less, but less. Yeah, I do.
Okay. What would Sappy say? You kind of answered. We talked about NBA earlier. What would you say is the most underrated talent, like a player in the NFL?
Underrated talent in the NFL. People are gonna probably not like. I think so. I don't understand why Jalen Hurts sells so cheap and so
Great answer.
so low, but I think it's Jalen Hurts. I mean, they go to the playoffs every year. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won one, and he sells like he's never been to the playoffs. So, or like even though he's a Dallas Cowboy quarterback, Dak Prescott's another one. Where he's kind of like doing everything he can for them, and they're kind of wasting it. But yeah, I would say Jalen.
I like those answers. It's a little NFC East. Maybe it's a hate for the NFC East in
There you
general.
go,
Like,
yeah.
maybe that's what it is. Okay. Which of your skills do you trust more, Sap? I know you're at Hooper. Is it to make 10 free throws in a row from the stripe, or you get 10 cards to submit to Beckett and one of them comes back a black label? Which one do you put more trust in?
Oh man, I'm a pretty good free throw shooter. I was probably like low 90s in high school and college.
Nice.
But I don't play anymore like I used to. But black labels are so hard to get unless you're sending in like one piece or a glass card. I'll probably say 10 free throws.
Okay. You know what he said there, which I love what you just said? Black labels are so hard to get. We have people who come into our shop and are just like, wait, well, let's get a black label. Well, let's get a black label.
Yes.
I'm like, do you guys understand how hard it
I
is to get
agree.
these grades? And I don't think they think we like have
1000.
some sort of like magic wand that it's going to get black labels for cards, and so it is
That needs
very
to
hard.
actually. I love that you said that too, because we have tons of customers that think, "Hey, what do you think chance of black label?" And when I tell them, they get discouraged. But like, it's supposed to be that hard.
Right.
That's why it's perfect. You get all 10s. But yes, that needs to be in the public more. That black labels are very hard to get, and so are bumps. So
Yeah, bumps are another one too. And then when you try and get,
yeah,
it's always there's nothing wrong with this card. And when the Beckett grader tells you it is, it's like, oh yeah, it was wrong with this card. But
yeah.
you know. All right. So for future shop owners out there, we mentioned it earlier. How important is it to know and also to carry TCG for your shop's future success?
No brainer. You're losing money if you don't do it, and it probably, if you don't succeed, that's probably a big aspect of why you did not succeed, because TCG, I mean, if I said 50-50, I probably wouldn't be that off.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right on, man. And the shops that say now like, oh, I don't know it, or you have to learn it. I just suck it
Yeah,
up.
you got to. I've learned a lot of it. I'm learning One Piece right now, so
Never ends, man. Never ends.
Yeah.
All right, this is a fun one. What is a card show etiquette? Maybe the unwritten rule, like in baseball when you don't flip your bat and then you get in fights.
Yeah.
What is the card show etiquette unwritten rule that you would like to see more people practice?
oh, card show. Oh, I got one. If you and I are doing a deal, Jamil, and somebody else walks up to us and sees a card that you like, please wait until you and I are finished with the deal before you start taking a card and saying, "Oh, how much do you want for this?" I feel like that's pretty like understanding, even like without etiquette. Like, just wait till the guys are done with their deal, then you can, hey, you're free to ask whatever you want. And it doesn't happen very often, but I see it happen more times than I want to see it. And I feel like, just be patient. They're not going anywhere. And if the guy that, let's say I picked up the card that you wanted, I deserve to pick it up anyway because you were dealing with me first. I wouldn't do that to you if you, hey, oh, what's this? How much you want for this? When you were trying to pick it up. I've seen it happen too many times. I wish that was better.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's great.
The other one, it kind of goes along with you for me, is when you have a busy show, it's gazillion people around, everyone's looking at your cases because you brought all this fire, and then some guy is starting to do a deal on top of one of your cases. They pull out their Zion case, they throw it on their case, and they're starting to do cash deals on your cases. You're like, yo, there's space, go over there, leave my area alone.
This is what I say to them whenever they're doing that. I'll be like, hey, this is just 15% of whatever you guys do. Come straight to me. Y'all can put your stuff there.
That's right.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They quickly move after that, but
Yeah.
I love it. All right, last one, man. I want to keep it because I know you got a gazillion things to do, and you're getting out of being sick. But by the way, you powered through this. What is one area that Sappy would like to see in the hobby improved for the future hobbyists?
Excuse me. I brought this up earlier. And I'm sure you hear it a lot too from your customers that deal with other people outside of you. It's like, hey, this guy got me for this deal, like it was this, or they paid way too much, or they sold it for way too cheap. I just want to see people in the industry like be fair, and look, you should profit off of a deal that you do. I'm not saying don't profit, don't do well, and it's a difference of like holding a card and killing it, and rather than taking it right from him and then making 1,000x or whatever the case may be. Just be like loving and kind to one another and be fair. That's how I've conducted myself throughout this whole industry and the time I've been doing it. So I just want to see people, not try and get over, because at the end of the day, if you want to be in this for the long haul, you don't want one transaction with the guy. You want until, he may be out of the hobby or you're out of the hobby. And that's why I love meeting so many new people, and I do so many transactions with so many different people multiple times, is because I'm fair, and I'll pull up whatever. I don't try and sneak one by or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I'd like to see that more.
Fairness.
Well, yeah, and I think, every one of you guys that we get the opportunity to talk to, that's what it is. I mean, it's just there's no rivalries. It's like, that's exactly what it is. You guys want to see the kids enjoy this hobby and grow, and people be happy and get that card that they've been looking for forever. So it's really endearing to hear. So awesome stuff.
Yeah,
again.
man.
And if you ever get those courtside seats again and can't go, call us up.
Yeah.
We'll fly.
Oh, I
out.
got you. I got you
There's a
guys.
Gainesville to Dallas flight. So
That's
me and
right.
Jeff
There-
will hop on that and
Direct. Yep.
yeah, we'll make it
American.
work, man. We'll make it. That's
Yeah,
right,
for
American,
sure.
right, baby? We don't always get back on time because I always delay it, but we'll make it happen. Listen, tell the people how they can follow you, and like you do so much with live sales. Let people know where they can find you for those. Of course, obviously, Sappy Sports Cards out in Texas, but let our listeners know, how they can follow you on the interwebs.
Okay, so let me break it down a little bit. So our parent company is called Wax, WAXXED. Lawrence, we talked about him. He's my business partner. Together we have shops together. I'm a part of, we're going on our 5th, and he has like 16 others, so he's on his 21st shop. So Wax is our parent company, and you can go to there. But if you're looking specifically for grading, sappysportscards.com will get you everywhere. They'll get you to our Whatnot, our Instagram, our TikTok, whatever you want to see, has pricing on there, everything like that. So sappysportscards.com. And then we do live breaks on Fanatics Live, and that's under our parent company name, Waxed. So if you're ever looking to get into a break, check that out. WAXXED on Fanatics Live.
We'll shoot something up on screen too, man, for the viewers and listeners. But
appreciate
man,
that, man.
you've been great. We appreciate you, man. I can't wait to see you. I don't know if you're gonna be at the Charlotte Card Show again, or I'm sure I'll see you at Fanatics Fest.
Are you going to the
National.
Pittsburgh one?
I'm not gonna be able to do that one, but I will be at
Okay.
the Charlotte one coming up soon.
Okay.
But,
I think
I'm sure-
I think we will be there. I think.
Okay,
So
we'll
many
cross
card
paths
shows.
soon, man. Exactly.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
can't. I try not to think about it 'cause it's too much. But
Yeah.
appreciate your time, brother, and keep doing awesome things for the hobby. Make sure you guys go check out Sappy Sports Cards.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. All right. Great stuff. We'll take a break, come back, and speaking of wax, we'll see some of the new stuff coming out this week when we come back on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans. We welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast in the Meldon Law Studios. Jeff and Jameel hanging out here and having a good old time, and that was great. I can't believe he gave up courtside seats for one. What a doober!
I mean, that's a husband right there. Let
gotta
the
take
wife
care of
have
the kids.
the Petty Manny date or whatever she needed. But
What
yes,
it's all about. Yeah, just great to again, just the relationships that you guys have are pretty special.
yeah, card shop owners and just people in the hobby. You meet, even if you're not a card shop owner, you can be a card show guy.
Mm-hmm.
You get to really build amazing relationships. And I'm just thinking about the Upstate show. All these guys that come around from the Northeast, Midwest, Southeast that come to this show, just because I've gotten to know them through other shows, and it's a cool support system in a way to see that community grow. But yeah, Sappy and he didn't really talk a lot about the high end market, but when you go see his cases, you're not looking at $500 card, $200 card. It's all $1,000, $10,000 cards. And he mentioned Jordan. He was buying Jordan, putting them away when nobody else. I mean, when people were selling the Jordans,
Yeah.
right? Those Jordans are probably 5x, 10x, and I think just that amazing investment that he was able to kind of foresee that, right, moving forward, and bought Jordan on the low. So it's exciting to think about his collection, and a little envious as well because he's probably got some cool fire, but just a good dude.
Yeah, no, that's the neat stuff. You'll never know. And if you end up finding something, of course, you can always check out CGC, one of the nation's leading grading companies. Submit your collectibles, your sports cards, your trading cards, your comics, your coins, your collectibles, your video games, all that stuff. CGCcards.com, and they will maybe change your life.
Good.
By finding something special.
They had
like
some
that.
cool CGC graded cards in the Logan Paul auction with
Okay.
Golden recently. So they got some cool stuff. And thinking about new cards,
Yeah.
it's like Santa's coming again this week
sweet.
because we have a plethora of new releases. So I'll share a little bit with you, Jeff. You'll like it because there's a lot of cool baseball as
Okay.
well this week. We got Series 1 coming out with their Mega Box. So we had the 26 release last week, but now we have the Mega Box coming out. But the one set that I'm really excited for is Top Stadium Club, right? It's this really cool retro set from you remember the 80s and 90s. Stadium Club was
yeah.
it was
That was
awesome.
like the best thing.
Yeah, the pictures were cool then. They're still really cool.
A little glossy to them.
The glossiness, right? The only downside this year, they changed the iteration. You only get one auto per box, but the price point has still stayed up. I just think with Stadium Club baseball, it's always a fun rip. It's under $200. I think it's kind of one of those boxes that you just have to you just enjoy it. You
Yeah.
enjoy opening the packs. There's a lot of packs in it, which is always great too. And then if you're a high-end baseball guy, we have the Gilded Baseball coming out, which is that gold product. Always does very well. They're pushing $1,200 pre-sale right now from what I saw. So big kind of release from baseball. Topps is also putting out MLS Chrome. On the Panini side, we have Panini Select Football and National Treasures Football, which are two mammoth releases same week. We got those guys coming out. You'd love this. Prospect Edition Baseball. So all the prospect guys coming up through Panini with the autos and unlicensed, so it's even cheaper than the top side with the Bowman. It's a great release. You get lots of cool prospect guys coming up through there, and I'm sure you've been following a few of that with college baseball season getting going. We got Impeccable Live Golf, which is another fun release. Upper Deck has a golf release this week, with actually I think they have Tiger Woods autograph rookie buybacks in it, which are going to be really expensive and sought after. Our friend Gary V, who's been on everything from Nate Burleson with Today's Show, and see him on the Pivot podcast with our Gator friends, Fred Taylor and Channing Crowder. He's got his new V-Friends Spectacular Series stickers coming out, which have a bunch of new chases and all sorts of fun stuff. And then lastly, TCG. The new Pokemon release is Friday. Pokemon Ascended Heroes. And I know we've talked a lot about One Piece recently and the growth of it. What I haven't talked about is Pokemon has had a resurgence again. And we saw it dip for about 3 months, and now it has come back even stronger, specifically some of the older sets. So the world now with the Illustrator and Logan Paul selling, I think we're going to start to see more and more interest in Pokemon just out of nowhere, right? A card sells, you see it on the news channel, and now we're interested in it. So we're excited. I mean, cards are nuts. The Upstate Card Show is going to be nuts, slinging deals and having fun. But a lot of new wax this week. Happy ripping to all of you. A lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, it is great. The spring, and now with you mentioned golf and what we saw with Liv over in Australia, and Anthony Kim winning after not being a part of things for like 10 years, and then Colin Morikawa, who was non-existent these last couple of years, he wins out at Pebble Beach, and it's fun. And of course you got March Madness coming up and all these different things going on, and Sappy mentioned some of these young bucks that are now rookies in the NBA that you could try to invest to, but it's a world that there's just so much possibility, and that's why we love doing this and try to explain that to you, bring it to you each and every time we do it, just to, hey, go out and invest. Yeah, I mean, if you could have been that guy buying those Jordans like Sappy did 10 years ago, and now all of a sudden...
Well, how about this? You could have been that guy buying Otani in August last year.
Right.
You know what I mean? We bought a card. I'll just quickly throw this out there. Bought a card on an auction site, Fanatics Collect, paid, I think it was $10,000. The last card just sold for $28,000 of the exact same card, right? I didn't it's not a lot of time, right? But it's just kind of following these kinds of things. And maybe it's that kind of step of faith you got to take sometimes. But if you invest in some of these blue chip kind of prospects, so we brought them up these names throughout the entire. Think about Messi, right? You bought Messi a year ago, Ronaldo a year ago. These are names that, again, you can hold for just some time. If you're patient enough, you'll do really well with it. So, we're excited to see where the card market goes. It just keeps growing. Yeah,
it certainly is. All right, well, appreciate you tuning in once again. We'll do it in a couple more weeks. For Jameel, I'm Jeff. That was the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.